everything good and or bad in humanity only came about through thinking, speaking, writing, singing, and acting out. War and peace come through words, good or bad. Families, communities, countries, and continents are byproducts of words. Now, do pay attention to this short video. I hope you've captured the fact that everything comes through words, whether it is good or bad. Everything on earth comes through words. And we have heard, we also know that it is through words that everything came to be in this life. So you and I are byproducts of words. So if you have been blessed with the power of reflection, because it is through the power of thought that we come to articulate words, we are then able to speak out and write. When God bestows this gift or these gifts to us, we must ensure that we are using it properly, that we are using it to glorify God. We're using it no matter how hard it is, no matter how difficult it is, we use it for the posterity of humanity. At all times, ensuring that we speak out. We are necessary, we are important. Remembering that any bad thing that happens and people have remained silent, such bad thing have been permitted to repeat. When anything wrong takes place and there is absolute silence, it means a green light for that thing to repeat. It's an acceptance of that thing. So, in understanding of this, whenever something is wrong takes place, and you can look at it and you know this is wrong, you must very quickly apply the solution. You might not be able to rescue what had gone wrong, but you would have constituted an ideology through which such thing is prevented from happening in future. And it doesn't matter whether that thing relates to you or somebody else. You might have the backbone to survive what has happened to you. But if that thing is wrong, you must now project that thing so that it does not happen to somebody else. Now, I want to deal with the issue of bereavement, the issue of losing people, because I have noticed in Igbo land particularly that this issue of one dying physically have been reduced to nothing. In fact, it has been changed into celebratory moments. Now, I want to bring certain things to everyone. First of all, I want everybody to understand that God owns this world. And everything created through words, everything we see on this earth, including the things that are created, recreated, be it aircraft flying in the sky, be it all those constructs we have taken into space. It doesn't matter what it is. Be it the house we live in, the cars we drive, be it the submarines in the oceans, everything, including you and I, we're all byproducts of the soil. Please understand this, because we are Imero Allah. So I want people to understand the importance of Allah, the soil, please. Because if we're going into, as we're going into Biafra, there are things we must capture very quickly, because God wants to do something different. God wants to bring massive light into the world through the emergence of Biafra and Yoruba nations. So there are foundational issues that we must capture. Do listen attentively. Foundational issues we must capture. You understand the importance of foundation. You know what foundation represents to a building. You know what formative years represent for the child. You know what the root represents for a tree. So these are foundational matters that we must understand if we're going to make good of our promise. That's why I'm speaking this morning. So I want you to understand the importance of the soil. Why you are not meant to ruin and damage and pollute the soil. Imerala. Imerala. Because everybody came from the soil. Everything on earth came from the soil. Everything. That is why if you build a house and you leave it for a long time, come back and see the house must return to the soil. The house, once there is no human contact, you will see that the house will begin to find ways to return back to the soil. Anything in this life not sustained by mortal beings will return back to the soil. Anything man-made which is not sustained by human activities and life, yeah, that thing returns to the soil. So I want people to begin to understand these things. They are very important. They are foundational. You can't miss them, otherwise you're in trouble. If you don't understand them, and you will become mad. That means when you become mad through Imero Allah, you will now assume that Aline Mero Uzi Omenala. You would think you are doing the right thing. Okay? So I needed for everyone to understand the importance of Allah. Allah. Everything came from the soil. That's why we must make sure that whatever we do, okay, that we are focusing on God, that we know that there is a creator who made us from out of the soil, and that we are not doing anything that will make the soil desperate to take us back. Makana in Emerala, Allah will want to take you back very quickly. But I found that Igbo people, Biafrans, are now ruining and destroying the soil, particularly when people die. When people die now, Igbo na Rosiala badly, and the thing is now gone into a psychotic level. You go into Igbo land right now, doesn't matter which kindred you go into, go and check. Right now, there are 2 people dead, at least. And this is not to do with violence, no. This is people now dying. In some kindreds, you have 6, 7 people to bury. Let me tell you, a lot of these deaths, and some of them are young people, a lot of these deaths is as a result of the way we now treat the dead. Even the churches have gone mad. The churches, those that say they are wearing robes, they are now seeing death as a means to punish the bereaved, as if they themselves won't die. There is no more compassion for the bereaved in Igbo land. And if there is, please, I want somebody to show me. Aina Ruziala more Madon Ekwensu have taken over. That's why people are dying. It is part of the reason that people are dying like chicken. Because we are now seeing something we perceive as good in death. And when people die, everybody's appetite is wet. Hello? And I'm talking about even the church. The priests are now seeing death as a time to punish people, as a time to make demands. People are fighting over, once somebody dies, come and see the politics. Everybody begins to devise their own, make their own demands. Even people who are supposed to be the ones helping the bereaved to cope. Even the people who are supposed to be supporting and looking to provide some succor to the bereaved. They become a source of pain, a source of torture to the bereaved. The church will now be demanding this, demanding that, putting the bereaved through hell. And you think the soil is happy. The soil through which you are made is happy. And you thought God, the owner of you, the owner of the soil, the one that made you out of clay, will be looking at you happy. In the olden days, when somebody died, and of course then, I can relate to this because I remember growing up. Sometimes it would take 3 years, 2 years before somebody died. One person died in my kindred, even in my whole village. In my whole village, sometimes it would take 3 years. Sometimes it would take 2 years before one person will die. I'm telling you. Okay? And then, when somebody died, the whole community, you will see people weeping. You will see people lose thirst. People would lose appetite. Okay? People would lose everything. People are looking to even cook from their house to take to the bereaved. People are looking, some people would not eat. They won't eat burials because there is an Igbo adage that says, "Okokole aka eji abokwa." Okokole aka eji abokwa. So, by right, when you are looking at the dead, you're meant to be looking at yourself. That moment of serenity, that moment of reflection. By right, people are not supposed to be eating on the day of funeral, because the days of funeral are days of reflection. It brings you to your spirit. It puts you in a reflective mode. But today in Igbo land, funerals have been turned into a time to fight for right. A time you see people arguing over the number of crates of mineral, crates of beer. You see even in the church where the priest is saying, you haven't, the bereaved didn't pay this and pay that and that. If you haven't done this and done that, I won't touch you. You will see woes. It's become shameful. It's become shameful. Become embarrassing. Some places now, as soon as they hear that somebody has died, they say, oh, you have to pay 50,000 first to if you're going to bury this person around here or wherever, you're going to pay 50,000. Oh, now they have begun now to introduce a list, just like somebody going to marry. Even though the community knows that they have lost one of theirs. Now, there is now a list for the immediate family to buy this and buy that in order to come and tell the same community that lost someone that this person has died. What madness had gripped us? What is this madness? I mean, it's like people no longer mourn